it's Kari here. Welcome back into the podcast. I've got Hannah back with me today, and we are continuing our summer series, just giving you some things that just help you to have a healing summer that would help you to lean into just taking care of your body and finding more joy and hopefully finding the Lord. So, that's what we're going to kind of be continuing today. And we really wanted to give you some tips around, as you're traveling, as you're maybe out of your normal routine, how can you truly still find joy and also just still prioritize proper nourishment for your body and not stress about it. So just wanted to share because I know I've learned a lot over the years, and I've probably done it more of like the wrong way and maybe stressed about it. And then, so hopefully we can share some tips on like been there, done that, and this is what works maybe a little bit better. So, so Hannah, I just loved what you shared about just thinking about what we can control versus what we can't control, and kind of thinking about it from that mindset. Do you want to share more on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to traveling, there are just so many more things than usual that are just out of your control. And I think
Yeah.
when you are eating out, whether that's with family or friends, I think one thing that's really out of our control is sometimes the quality of food.
Yeah.
We don't really know where the food is coming from that a restaurant is preparing. And I think this is a really good instance where you kind of just let that go. Uh, and know that, yeah, that's just out of your control. I think another thing that's out of your control too is sometimes there are things on the menu that would maybe not be what you prefer, but it's the best option
Yeah.
for where you're going with your family
Mhm.
or whoever you're with. And that's okay. You can still make a
Yeah.
great decision on what to eat while not losing your joy and remembering that, yeah, food is so much more than just
Yes.
the nutrient content, but the
Mhm.
fellowship,
Yeah.
praising the Lord for his creation and sustenance, and really trusting that he's going to be the one that sustains and provides all your needs. So I don't know. I think traveling can be a real good test for
Yeah.
um, if food has become an idol in any way or healthy eating has become unhealthy, really. So
Yeah. It
um,
makes me think like you could be at home and eating the most perfect meal that had, had the most potential to nourish your body and be stressed and not eat it present and just it not do what you want it to. Or you could be, at a fast food restaurant and eating something that isn't the best quality, but not stressed about it and enjoying it. And you feel
yes.
great afterwards. Like, it's just like, hey, he's calling us to be present and trust him in all things. So this just reminds me of that. And he's going to take it and do what he does with it, right? A lot of times we think it's, and we do control a lot of times what we put in our bodies, and that does matter, but he's the one that brings something from that, right? He's the one that truly gives us energy and gives us what we need every day, right? That's why we pray, like, give us this day our daily bread, because it is more than just food that we need. So I think that just helps you look at it, hopefully in a little bit of a different way. And like Hannah said, I mean, it really is a good test to see, like, where does food rank in your life? I mean, have you put it above the Lord? I mean, is it an idol? Is it, is it something that you're just stressing over and obsessing over, I guess would be a better word. Um, might be a good time to pray about that and really give it to the Lord. And so hopefully, but also it's like we do want to steward our bodies well, but we also just want to trust, right? And so we're kind of trying to share some tips about how you could really do both, right? You can make a good choice, but you can let the other stuff go.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
hopefully that makes sense, because it doesn't have to be either or. I think we see these people that just don't care about what they eat, and then we see people that are hyper obsessed, right? We're kind of going to
Mhm.
be somewhere in the middle. We're going to walk with the Spirit and discerning what is best for us. And we can do that when we're at home, and we can definitely do that when we're out and about too. So what are your thoughts, like, Hannah, when you're in a situation and maybe it is out of your control. What are some things that you look for just to make sure, you're nourishing your body, but also just letting go of all the rest that you can't control.
Absolutely. Yes. So much trial and error. But
Yeah.
basically, I think I boiled it down to two things that I really just try to prioritize. And um, it really does make all the difference. But the first one is balancing my blood sugar. So
Yeah.
when I'm out eating, making sure I'm getting a protein rich meal is just so big for me.
Yeah.
Alongside the carbs and fats for sure, but just I think that is something you can definitely control when you go out. There's usually always a protein
Right.
option available, no matter where you go. So
Mhm.
that's one thing. And then I think also too, when you're traveling, to make sure you're still eating regularly. I know things just
Yeah.
a lot of things kind of go out the window in terms of like your normal rhythms and whatnot. But
Mhm.
I mean, when you're traveling, you're usually doing a lot more, and sometimes it can be a little bit more stressful. And
Yeah. It's
so
true.
it's really easy to either forget to eat or, yeah, just not make that a priority anymore. And then it does things like causes intense cravings and
Yeah.
maybe overeating at a certain meal, and um, which can cause a bunch of stress. And then there's
And you
it's
don't
just a
feel
cascade.
good. You just don't
Yes.
feel good. So,
Um, exactly. So by eating regularly, I know we talked about this, but I think that is something that's in your control is packing snacks.
yeah.
There are so many options you can take with you to go that you don't have to always refrigerate. And it really does just make the day a lot more steady. Um, I think when you're out and about doing the
Yeah.
right thing.
For
Oh,
sure. Yeah, like eh, and usually we're literally like we know when we're going to be in a situation that we're going to, eat something we don't normally eat. It's usually not like a survivalist situation. Like we know we're going to be going to a party or a restaurant or we're going to be going on vacation, like whatever it is, like we know ahead of time. So just having, if you're going to be eating out that night or if you're going to a party, like make sure that you're not going hungry. Like that's not a good idea. It's just not, you're not probably going to make great choices. You're probably, I don't know. There's just a lot to that just a little bit of intention would really help. And also I just think about, I've definitely shown up to places and brought my own food. And so some people are like, I would never do that. And that's okay. I get that might be perceived as rude. I can understand that. However, if you know the person, just say like, hey, I just wanted to bring my food. I don't know I think just acknowledging it just makes it like, not like you're trying to sneak something in, it's maybe just like, I'm really trying to prioritize X, Y, and Z, or I just really, you know, am trying to do better. I don't know. Just
mhm.
acknowledge it. And I've taken my food so many places. And because honestly, I want to be with people to enjoy the food, but I just want to bring food so that I feel my best and I'm well nourished. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, I don't think you need to do that all the time either. So it's kind of just a case by case basis, but I just wanted to mention that because I've done that several times as well. Um, but speaking of snacks, what snacks do you like to travel with? Because I think this is maybe some people are like, well, I don't know what snacks to bring that don't need to be refrigerated. So what are your favorites?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I love meat sticks.
Hmm.
Those are my favorite. I
Me too.
love fruit, dried fruit. I usually don't eat a lot of dried fruit at home, but I feel like
Hmm.
that just travels so much better than
It does.
uh,
Yeah.
like other fruit.
Uh-huh.
It packs better. I do like bringing packaged um, like tuna or sardines. And you can get little like Sprouts has mustard packets too, if you're like me and you can't eat them just like straight from the
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Sometimes some siete crackers or chips too. I like bringing dark chocolate as well. And we do have a backpack that has like a refrigerated section. So hard
Mhm.
boiled egg is another one we like to bring too.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I feel like those are our main
Mm.
go-tos. Cheese, I think, is another good
Yeah.
one. Um, and this is an occasion too where I think I would also pack some like sprouted nuts as well, just
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
I don't eat them all the time, but I feel like for
Yeah,
traveling it can be a good option to kind of sustain you.
for
Uh,
sure. Yeah, like
So,
a high quality bar would probably be the only other thing I'd add to that. Like just to have, I mean, sometimes I keep these things in my car, not for long periods of time, but I will keep in my car or purse, just so I have them. But yeah, those are really great ideas that I think you could find something in there that you liked that you could keep. I love meat sticks too. What's your favorite brand of meat sticks?
ooh, I really like the chomps. They sell them
Okay.
at Costco
Yeah.
and for a really good price, and
Mhm.
so we try to stock up on those.
Yeah. I like chomps. I think my favorite are Paleo Valley.
Mm,
They're just a little bit like juicier, if that makes sense. Sometimes chomps are a little bit dry.
mhm.
But I really like Paleo Valley. So anyway,
Mhm,
if you're looking for meat sticks, those are two good options. But yeah, they're really great things to bring in. I think that is such a good point. Like whenever you are traveling and you are under a little bit more stress. So just make sure to eat, right? We're trying to balance our blood sugar. And that's kind of the whole point that you kind of want to think about when you're out and about, is just trying to be well fueled, which does help support your blood sugar, which
mhm,
plays into so many different things. And even on the other episode that we recorded about the drinks, those really help keep your blood sugar and, just like your stress levels more manageable, they just
mhm,
help keep your cells fueled with nutrients. So it all kind of works together.
mhm,
And I do get like these things do take a little bit more intention, but it is kind of the whole thought of like I mean, summer, not for everybody, but for a lot of people, it is a little bit of a slower pace. And it is
mhm,
a good time to incorporate some of these things and think about them a little bit more and kind of make them a part of your daily, weekly, monthly routine. And, I just hear so often like, I'm always so busy. I'm always on the go. I just, and that honestly is like their reasoning why they don't eat better.
mhm,
And I do get that. Like my kids are a little bit older and they like to go out to eat. And I have eaten out more than I probably ever have this, earlier this year, this spring. And I mean, do I like it? I mean, not really, but I try to make the best out of it. I try to do the best I can and I just leave the rest and I don't worry about it. And it
mhm,
really hasn't like negatively affected my health, because I'm really prioritizing good, whole, nutritious food when I can, like Hannah said, like what you can control and what you can't. And so just to share a few things that I think about when I go into a restaurant, definitely thinking about, okay, what protein am I going to get? Because really, if you eat enough protein, a lot of the other things that you might eat that would maybe like influence your blood sugar or maybe cause inflammation, maybe make you not feel well, it's going to be somewhat negated if you do eat enough protein. I've noticed that. And so I definitely prioritize proteins and I usually look for something that's gluten free because that's how I typically eat. And almost every restaurant now has gluten free options. I mean, they really do. Or you can take the bun off something. Like there are always ways that you can get around that. And you might get a little gluten in, here or there, but just trying to not eat, things that would spike my blood sugar or make me not feel good and prioritizing proteins. Those are the two things that I typically look
mhm,
for. And I mean, like, I like fries like the rest of them. If I'm going to have a burger, I'm probably having fries. Sometimes I'll
mhm,
have a salad, but usually I mean, again, it's not like you um, deprive yourself necessarily. It's really that you just try to prioritize again that blood sugar balance and making sure you're getting enough protein typically does it well
mhm,
for you. So, anything
mhm.
you want to add to that? Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is our hope is that in shoot, like focusing on the things you can control, you know, you're not so stressed traveling because like you've talked a lot about, Kari, our nervous system really does affect our little ones or those we're
Yeah,
traveling with. And um, yeah, I think we want to make it to where you um, are able to kind of heal wherever you're at, but hopefully these things help you to slow down. Like I think having a snack break, I mean, that makes you pause what
it
you're doing
does.
every day, which is so important. And So
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like wherever you're at, try to be present with your food. And I mean, and it's so funny, like we can be at home and definitely bypass that too. Like it's not just when you're out that you're more apt to do that. Like it really is a habit because when we're present with our food, we digest it better. We're in that parasympathetic rest and digest state of our nervous system, so we can actually digest it.
Mhm.
Like as much as you can, try not to eat on the run, if that makes sense. Like take a pause, like Hannah was saying. And I mean, it seems really small, but I promise if you do it, you can see a big difference because that's how you kind of break up the stress cycle. Like food does help us break up the stress cycle. Like protein helps your blood sugar, which kind of interrupts that cortisol pumping through your veins. Carbs can blunt that cortisol effect. So just it all works together. So just taking a pause, being present with your food, that's really going to make a big difference no matter where you are and what you eat, to be honest.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we hope these tips have been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed this series so far. We have a few more episodes to go, but we really just wanted to give you some good practical things that you could just think about more. A lot of this is paying attention, being more intentional, which that goes way more than just the physical. That's emotions, that's spiritual as well. So hopefully if you can just kind of get into a way of life of being more present with those around you, present with what the Lord is sharing, and showing you, and that includes what you're eating too. It all goes together. So thank you, Hannah. I just love your insight, and you just always have such great ideas. Thank you for being on with me.
Aw, thanks for having me, Kari.
I enjoyed it. See you guys on the next one.